webinar. I am Noha Khatmi. I am a board member of Women for Solutions and the founder and CEO of People of Impact, an open social innovation and collaboration platform to co-create solutions for a better world. And at Women for Solutions, we stand for advancing the caring economy. And I'm very proud today to be hosting Simone Junod, the founder and CEO of Athena Wisdom Institute. She is the senior business executive with experience across various industries. She was the chief financial officer in various international corporations before she materialized her vision and founded both the Athena Wisdom Institute and Athena Center. Her purpose with these two companies is to contribute to a shift in the economy for more consciousness, sustainability, and equality. Simone is a phenomenal woman, full of wisdom and positive energy, always inspiring those around her with her vision, impact, systemic transformation mindset, programs, and tools. Welcome, Simone, to Women for Solutions.
Thank you so much, Noha, for having me today. It is a great honor and pleasure to be with you today. Thank you. And thank you all to all the participants listening to us today.
Thank you, Simone. So let's get started with this exciting talk. And for the audience, please feel free to leave your comments, questions as we go through this conversation. We'd love to make it as interactive as possible, or to reach out to us also post-session if you have any thoughts or reflections. So we hope that this is going to ignite minds and create some food for thought for everyone. So to start off, you know, I was going through your a quote that you left on your LinkedIn, which says, you know, that you are committed to bringing well-being into the core of every being and expanding consciousness in the economy. So I would love it if we can, you know, open up this conversation by elaborating on that and, you know, your approach, your belief, your philosophy.
Thank you, Noha. Well-being. Why is it so important to every one of us? Currently, we are going through this pandemic worldwide. And I think that if there is a lesson about this pandemic, it is really that our health is our greatest wealth. I also relate well-being with leadership and with the expression of our highest potential. However, what is well-being? Well-being can be expressed in different manners. It can be that we feel at the highest of our power, we feel meaning, we feel engagement. There is also a very specific definition, which is called PERMA. It is about positive emotions, it is about engagement, it is about relationship, it is about meaning and accomplishment. I also relate well-being with leadership, and I say that if we want to be a strong leader, and before being a strong leader for others, we have to be the leader of ourselves. So I say that in order to be this impactful leader, not only for the well-being of yours, but the well-being of others, well-being is a key element. So I do say that we are in our full power, in our full potential at the intersection of well-being, awareness or consciousness, and intention.
Beautiful. That's really beautiful. And thank you for shedding light on the connection between consciousness and leadership and well-being. And I wanted to, you know, so in particular, you've created an entire institute that focuses on connecting consciousness with economy, consciousness with leadership, because, you know, I'm sure it stems out of a very strong conviction. So I want to go back a little bit and also, you know, understand from you, how did Athena materialize? How did this vision come about? You know, you said in various interviews that it's, you know, something that evolved over 2 decades, and we'd love to share with our audience how your passion and purpose were fulfilled and the vision for Athena materialized?
First, I would love to actually kind of put this into this conversation. What is a vision? We can have many definitions about a vision. It is a dream. But I would love to express it also in another manner. A vision is really something which carries you. So when I say this, this is something, not something new. However, a vision, if it is deeply, truly rooted in you, in every cell of yours, this is an energy. It is an energy ray which is acting through you, in your body, in every cell. So materializing a vision is actually letting this energy emerge, allowing this energy to emerge in your body and to guide you. So this seems a little bit complex the way I see it, but this is exactly how I feel it. Because if I even go back, much further back than these 20 years I've mentioned quite a few times, if I go even further back to my childhood, I remember this situation when I was at secondary school. This is what we say here in our country, in Switzerland. We have first primary school, the first 4 years, and then starting from the 5th one, we are in secondary school. So I was 10 years old, and we were assigned to write an essay. And a very specific one with the title being like this: if you had every resource, every means to do what you would love to do, what would you do? And I've never forgotten that story, because today I can really relate with Athena. I can relate it with Athena. And in a sense, this is what I wrote. I wrote down that in case, or each time I meet a person or a child, an adult or a child or an elderly person who is in pain, I would love to be in a position to press a button somewhere so that this person is well again. So already at this young age, this energy was already available. And then years passed, you go along your life path. And then came this situation you mentioned, Noha, some 20 years ago. And this was a period of my life where I was indeed still a chief financial officer in a very large international IT group, traveling the world. And it was also a period of my life where I stood up very, very early in the morning, and I wrote every morning. Actually, I started with this every morning. And on a Saturday morning, and I was already living in Zurich. Originally, I am from the French part. Suddenly, I had this insight. I have to write a vision about my life, but I had never done so. I had no clue, but I simply knew I have to do it. So I took a pen, I took my diary, and I started writing. And it came in a flow through me. And I wrote and wrote. And then I also felt in my body, it's done, it's over. So I took a pause and read again. And I was absolutely amazed about the content, because it had nearly no relation to what I was experiencing during that period in my life. However, intuitively, I knew immediately, yes. So I said yes, and I added, however, I am not ready. And I also immediately knew I need much more life experience and professional experience. And as of today, that is when I took the decision to materialize Athena, I realized that the whole path until that point, until that decision, had been preparation for Athena.
Mm-hmm.
So we are fully guided. That is my profound conviction. And when I do say this, it doesn't mean that we do not have free will. We have free will. What I am saying here is that you trust. You trust your purpose and you trust it fully. And then you dedicate yourself to it.
Mm-hmm. You know, interestingly, you know, having been in the corporate environment and, you know, shifting to a different, you know, or making this shift, you know, it takes a lot of conviction, as you said, but also, you know, leveraging all the learnings, as you said, that you gain along the way. So I wanted to really know from you, what were your biggest learnings, your biggest opportunities or challenges that helped you, you know, when founding Athena, do things differently or shape it in a different way?
Well, the learnings, Noha, and this is for everyone, I would suppose, they are always on the personal level and they are on the professional level.
Mm-hmm.
So professional level, I have been working with figures, and it seems that I have a certain agility with figures, but they have never been my passion. However, today I also do know they have a power. Figures have a power. Figures speak to me. For example, if I see somewhere 3 times 5, it has a meaning to me. It does mean that I am fully aligned with myself. So every triplet of figures, every 111, 222, 333, and so on, every one of these triplet has a very specific meaning, and I relate to that. So about the figures, a little story in bracket.
Mm-hmm.
What has always been my passion are the people. Already since I was a child as well, I wanted to be a teacher also as a child. Even before going to school, we played school and I was always the teacher. Anyway, professional learnings. I have, of course, taken all these necessary trainings to be in a position to continue on that career path, but most of all, I've been taken trainings and workshops and about leadership, about communication, about personal development, and much more. And on the personal level, I am by nature extremely curious. So already at a very young age, I was wondering, what are we here for? What can we do? What do we have as potential in us? So this led me to go to a psychologist, and I worked with her. She is a Jungian psychologist, so not Freud, it is Jung. And we did together a lot of dream, how do you say that in English? A lot of dream interpretation.
Yeah.
So I learned enormously. And I did this during the first phase of 3 years. And then I took a break. And then I repeated again for 3 years, but not so often. During the first period, I went to see her every week. And I uncovered a lot already. And I received also many answers. And in the second phase, I saw her, let's say, twice a month or once a month. So this was really my first, let's say, self-discovery. However, life brings you completely different situations. And the greatest learnings have not especially been during that period. The greatest learning have been with, let's say, major crisis in our family. It's still hard to speak about those today, but I have to speak about those, otherwise I cannot explain why today I am bringing this knowledge and this wisdom out into the world. So when you lose dear people, the dearest ones, in a not, let's say, natural manner, it shakes you. And when it's not only one loss, there are several. And when one loss like this of a dear person is even, let's say, coupled with other situations in your life, and possibly participants listening to me, to us today, have also experienced this, because in the world, this is not an unusual situation. It is not an unusual situation in life stories, if I may say so. But once you lose everything, your dear ones, your position, your relationship, the foundation of your life is gone. So you wonder, what can I do now to get up again? And when this happened, I had also the impression words are no longer to be enough. So psychology, I learned a lot, but there was a voice telling me, not sure. It seems to me I need other resources. Nevertheless, I spent 1 hour with a psychiatrist because I thought, well, why not? I would love to have, let's say, an opinion. So this lady listened to me for 1 hour. And then she looked at me, and I was still very active in working in this corporation, traveling, leading teams. So she listened to me for 1 hour, and at the end of the hour, she looked at me and she said, you know what? And this is, Simone, you are so strong. I don't know how I could help you. Okay, an information, but what do? You still have to recover from these losses. And when the third one happened, and they happened within a couple of weeks, so really one bing, bing, bing. When the third one happened, it was the loss of the position after 8 years. It was a Wednesday, I remember that. And on the Friday evening, I sat in my room here, living room, and I had a conversation with myself. And I said to me, Simone, this is a tough year. However, it will be a good year too. And I took decisions. And one of these decisions was, this year I'm going to climb 2 mountains, 4,000 meters high. This is an example. And I did. And with this simple example, I would like to convey that you may fall down in life, but you rebound every time and immediately. So there was no depression, there was no burnout, there was nothing out of this. However, there was another intelligence coming through me. And it was actually this energy really coming out, the energy I was talking about before when I told this story about being this child, writing this specific essay, then writing this vision some 20 years ago. Until then, I had not allowed really this energy to act, to really come to light. But then I did. And I discovered that I had completely different capabilities. And I also do know today, because I have learned in the meantime with great, wonderful people who are being called in many traditions, but also in the meantime, everywhere, wisdom keepers. And I have discovered that I have the capability to heal. with energy remotely. And with this wonderful, wise people, I've learned how to guide this energy, how we can work with these other non-physical senses we all have. These senses we have when we come to on this earth as a child. And they are two. They are awareness. In the scientific world, they do not speak so much about awareness, they say consciousness and perception. And these two non-physical senses, you can guide them with an intention. And what is an intention? It is a very conscious thought. So I've been through many, many different learning, teachings for a certain number of years. And a couple of years ago, when I met two of the greatest of today, they did not know me. They saw me for the very first time when I entered a meeting room here in Zurich. I was still at the entrance. The room was already nearly full. I was not so early. They saw me. They were sitting next to each other. They looked at me, and then they looked at each other, and they said to themselves, she's one of us. And I learned this story only a couple of years later. And today I really do feel that I am one of them. So how do I relate this now to Athena? How do I relate this now to this absolutely strong desire to initiate a shift in the economy? Well, I've been an executive woman in male-dominated teams. And I have to say it very frankly, I loved it. I loved it all. Nevertheless, and this was also quite surprising to me, when you are in such a position, and I'm sure many of you have also been in that position, you also experience these quite mind-boggling situations where some gentlemen allow themselves to have a behavior which is completely out of the place. And what is extremely amazing too is that it does not change although you become a senior person. So why do I tell this story now? Why do I speak about this now? I mentioned this because the very first program we bring out into the world is dedicated to women, because we need to boost equality. And this is no secret for everyone. The pandemic situation has even worsened the situation. So it is more than ever needed that we women, from the very beginning of our life, and now I think especially about young business women, it is absolutely essential that they obtain access to another kind of knowledge and wisdom so that they can relate, reconnect again truly with their deepest essence, so that they can blossom and be strong. And this by equally using their masculine and feminine energy, not at the cost of the feminine qualities. I would love to tell about a caller conducted this week on Tuesday with a wonderful young businesswoman, highly successful, a leader. But she now has come to the realization, yes, she's successful. However, at the cost of her own femininity. She looks beautiful. She's a wonderful person, but inside she feels detached from her own femininity, and she wants to reconnect. She wants to become whole again. And this situation does not only affect her professional life, but it does also affect her personal life. So far, she was so open. She has attracted men who simply wanted to be stronger than her, who wanted to prove, I am even stronger than you are. And in other situations, she even scares men. And I know that, I've also experienced this. So with this wisdom we bring with Athena, which is a 1,000-year-old wisdom based on different ancient traditions. And it is the very first time this wisdom and knowledge is brought out into the world in this manner. And why? I've been trained by these wisdom keepers, and I've been granted the authorization to bring this wisdom in that manner out into the world. And when I say so, I mean also digitally. Because so far, it has been transferred over verbally. We know that this is the natural, or so far the way they did it. So you come into a specific room and you listen. You get no diary, you get no workbook, there is no slides. At the end, you do not receive a recording. No. If you want to learn, you learn and you write down. So this is also why the content of our program, Fearless, Free, Feminine, is like this. At the end or during the course, you do not get a nice piece of paper where everything is written. No. If you really want to learn and enrich yourself, and this is really wisdom embodiment, it has to go through your body. And a way of that it goes through your body is that you also write. So all the knowledge which is now being transferred over in this program, in this leadership program, is everything I've written myself, experienced through my body, understood through my mind. I've recreated everything I had already written by hand. I wrote it then on Word, and then I wrote it again so that I can express it with my own words and experience. Right now we are working with a group of business ladies attending the program for the very first time in this digital manner. And some of them would love to have a workbook, but I've realized that in the introduction I will add another explanation video where I'm going to tell why this wisdom is being taught in that manner. It has to be brought out into the world, even though it is digitalized, in this same manner, because this is really sacred wisdom. So you understand.
Thank you. So, yes, sorry, please carry on.
I simply would love to add this. Everything which is included in this program has been experienced first by myself, but then also by many other ladies in the meantime, business ladies. And what I can say is that it does transform their life. They become much bolder, and they really have the courage to take decisions for their own good and to have an impact on others.
Sorry, yeah, carry on.
So how to initiate a shift in the economy? My reasoning was, if we want to initiate a shift in the economy, we first start with ourselves. And the person who have become whole again, and by becoming whole again, I mean when you have again the capability to work with your non-physical senses, then you are whole again. And your whole field of energy surrounding you has changed, and the people feel it. Sometimes you do not even need to speak. Simply by being in your presence, the people feel. They cannot really express it with words, but they feel it. And then these personalities transform the organizations from the inside. This is the reasoning I had when I decided it has to be a leadership training. If we want to initiate a shift, we have to do it from the inside. And I have explained before why first women. However, the content of this leadership program is absolutely universal, and it is for men. And we have already also developed an education program for children. Why? Children are so important. They are so dear to my heart. Why? Because as a child, when we are born, we have everything. We communicate with our mother without any words, and she understands everything. We simply need to look at toddlers being together. They cannot speak, but they understand beautifully well. They don't need words because they use these non-physical senses. But especially with our current educational systems, we completely neglect these. And we put an accent on our rational mind at the cost of our intuitive mind. So to put it fairly simply, these new forms of education have as a purpose to address both intuitive and rational mind again at the same level. So that really we have all our potential already as a child. And my biggest, a very, very strong desire, it is actually, I would even say a longing, it is that many young women, most of the women, and especially the youngest generation, will have this knowledge so that they do not need to go through this painful, unpleasant situations like many of us have had to go through. So this is really what carries me. This is my passion and my devotion.
It's fascinating. It's really wonderful and very, very deep in terms of, how you have managed to bring, ancient wisdom, maybe even knowledge and philosophy, to bring about a whole holistic transformation, starting with the self, and then impacting the economy, the society. And I wanted to stop here and reflect a little bit, on gender equality. We read all these reports that, it will take hundreds of years to achieve gender equality. We read it in the World Economic Forum. And despite it being very clear that, it's a strategic economic opportunity, women are half of society, and, there is no doubt about the potential of what women can deliver to the world and to building balanced and inclusive societies. So my question to you, having gone, beyond our material world and, explored new types of knowledge, what do you think we need as a world to achieve gender equality? What is missing, to get there, to empower women or enable women to be equal?
When I started going out into the world and speaking about Athena and telling that I was going to bring out, because at that time I had not completely developed the program, that I was about to bring out a leadership program dedicated at the beginning, especially for women, I heard so many things. After there are already so many. And it's true. And I know many. So I also studied the content of these I attended also these. And very soon I came to this realization. They address the symptoms. They do not address the roots. We are not going to achieve equality if we continue to create the same kind of leadership program, simply a little bit adapted because we are a woman. It's not going to change anything. Why should we, by the way, have different leadership program because we are women? We have the same intellect as men. So in my opinion, this is not the approach. It needs a much deeper transformation. And it is a transformation about ourselves, about our values and our principles. And this change of values and principles and starts with every human being. It starts with every woman and with every man. And if we want to bring this change faster, then we also start to change our education systems and educate children in a different manner. And this different manner means also really explaining children what is life, what are we here for, what is our purpose, what are values, what are principles. We do not learn anything about life at school as a child. Today still, we are simply filling our heads, or we are being received many information, which after a couple of years are no longer valid, but this is not education. We should have an education, what is life, in addition, of course, about how do I read, how do I calculate, and so on. This is needed. But we miss completely the most important thing in life. What are we? Who are we? And at this stage, this definition of leadership comes to my mind from Peter Senge, and I would love to quote. Leadership comes from the people and groups who are capable of letting go of established ideas, practices, and even identities. So how can we boost equality? It's not by repeating the same kind of business frameworks and programs we have in every business school. We need to go much deeper. It is really to reconnect with whom we are as a human being. And there is something else I would love to mention here. This is from John Naisbitt. And again, I would love to quote. The most exciting breakthroughs of the 21st century will not occur because of technology, but because of an expanding concept of what it means to be human. And in the end, if I want to put it also fairly simply, what we bring out into the world with Athena is our programs which allow us as humans to reconnect with whom we are as human beings. And I do know Noha, by experience, because I go that path right now, how challenging it is to bring this out, to bring this in corporations. So I also do know today already that this program, you cannot simply go into an enterprise and say, okay, we have this and this is for your whole organization or for every woman in your organization. No, it's not going to work like this. Every person has to take a personal decision. Am I willing to go that path? Am I curious? Am I now ready to be kind of shaken, to question myself, to go beyond, to cross borders? And there must be a yes to those questions. And only if there is a yes, this knowledge will have the impact it should have. Otherwise, the reaction is going to be like this. And this is fair. It takes, depending on where you are on your life path, depending on your character traits and personality, it might not be for you. And this is absolutely fair and okay.
Great. I had a question around, so, you know, when we're trying, for example, at Women for Solutions to advance the caring economy, or for example, similar to your direction and vision of, you know, advancing a new form of leadership or mindset, it always takes like a cultural shift and big new mindsets, or as you said, it has to, evolve from the inner, deepest inner part of an individual. And I think, it's really hard to do that. It takes a lot of time to change mindsets, cultures. And so I was wondering, on an organizational level, or more on a societal level. I mean, from the individual side, it will, you might feel ignited to start your own self-transformation. But how do we extend that mindset, and transform cultures and societies and evolve the thinking to a different level in your mind? And I know there is no simple answer to this, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, or what does it take? What do we need to do as organizations who would like to advance new shifts and systemic transformation?
Great awareness that it is absolutely needed. And there are already people active in the economy speaking about this necessity. And now when I say this, in my mind comes this philosopher of Norway. He's called the modern Plato. And he says we need a revolution in consciousness in our economy. And this is absolutely what is needed. So the first phase is really awareness, increasing the awareness of the necessity. And he's not the first one, there are many on the path. It starts with awareness, then, and this is also this wisdom path. Awareness, then comes transformation, then manifestation, and then materialization. This awareness for this necessity has to be spread much more. And not only in the people who are already convinced, but at the highest level of, let's say, the largest corporations of this world.
Mm-hmm.
And how can this happen? Well, everyone can contribute to that, and everyone can speak out. And don't believe because you are an employee in a large corporation with a certain position that your voice is not important. No, every voice is important. Raise your voice, speak out, and be bold, be courageous. In the end, this is again an image which comes to me now. When we already hear a revolution is needed, what does it mean, a revolution? What is a revolution? People go out on the streets and they say what they want. So this is what we also need to do. If we don't, we continue destroying our planet. We continue, in the end, also putting our species in danger. So it is up to each of us to act. And an act can be a very simple one. But we need to join forces. And you have done so with your organizations, and you connect with other organizations. And this is what we have got to do. We have to become ally, connect, and together we are so much stronger.
Absolutely. Yeah, the power of collective action and partnerships cannot be undermined. And I think there are a couple of very interesting comments here in the chat, you know, around the concept of fear. Most of the time, people fear new ideas, you know, venturing into new territories that they don't know very well or uncertain. And even in organizations, you know, there's a culture of being risk averse. So, what are your thoughts there? And for the people to be able to speak up, to bring their whole selves to work, you know, you need inclusive leadership, inclusive cultures. So again, how do we overcome this fear? How do we pave the way and enable, you know, the building of these inclusive organizations and societies?
Fear. The title of our program is now Fearless Free Feminine. Fearless Free Feminine. Why have we chosen that name? Nearly each time I spoke about the content, or my colleagues and trainers spoke about the content, when they were finished, I could not prevent it. I had to stand up and say, and you become fearless and free. And why? Because this is really what is happening. What is fear? Why do we feel fear? Fear is a disease. Fear is one of the greatest diseases, and anxiety as well. And we feel fear when we are disconnected. And I'd like to use this simple metaphor now. What are we as human beings? We are and the metaphor goes like this: we are a drop of water. And we have fear when we disconnect this drop of water from the ocean. When we are in the ocean, we are so powerful. We have the power of of everything which is surrounding us. But when we believe that we are all on our own, we have a lot of fear. What is fear? Fear that I may no longer be in a position to sustain my life, fear of losing my position, fear of getting ill. Fear is also the opposite of trust. Do you trust life, the life path? Do you trust that life is carrying you? Once you have embodied this, I would love to express it now differently. Once you have reconnected again to your true essence, once you have learned again to be whole, fear disappears. Fear disappears. So yes, I do know about being risk averse. I've been like this too, of course, as a younger woman. I still had to learn a lot. Why should we fear? What is, and I allow myself now because it just comes to me now. Fear about what? You lose your job, you find another one. There is always a solution. You have this wonderful name for your organizations, Women for Solutions. There is always a path. There is always a path. You become ill, that can be a real tragedy, but this is also a learning curve, a great learning curve. And should you no longer be in this physical body, I have seen with my physical eyes open like this what comes after. When our mother passed away, I have no fear. It was pure love. It was so wonderful. So why should I fear?
Mm-hmm.
Trust. This life we have is a gift, is a great gift, and we are here to do something about it for humanity.
Mm-hmm. Tab, I want to dig deeper here because it's such an interesting and powerful, discussion, in an uncertain world, where everything is so volatile, ambiguous, how do we become more certain, more trusting? A lot of people are anxious about, like you said, losing their job or, and honestly, I mean, what is the worst that can happen? Yani, you know, I relate so much when you say, what up, so what the fear and then what? But the reality is, how do you build trust? How do you gain that certainty, that faith, and a divine sort of path that has been carved for you, and knowing, that you are divinely guided in such an uncertain, volatile, and ambiguous world, I would say.
This is really a process. This is a transformational process. This is really going on a, I'd like to put it that way, self-discovery journey, but much deeper than what you will ever have experienced. Because it is also, it is really wisdom, knowledge, embodiment. It is not learning through your head or your mind only. It has to go through your body. And trust is not something in here. Trust is in every cell of your body. So going through these different processes, it can be chanting, it can be dancing, it can be movement, it can be yoga, it can be mindfulness, it can be the wisdom of these wisdom keepers. And I've experienced much of those, or many of those, and the strongest I've experienced so far is really what I bring now into the world, thanks to these wonderful persons who have given me this authorization. This is really deepest transformation. And I know fully, Noha, that the way I speak now, for many companies, it is much too early. Most of the managers would I cannot relate to this. This is, I've heard it already. This is too spiritual. This is too even esoteric, although for me it has nothing to do with esoteric. This is absolutely what we are as human beings. And it is reconnecting about whom we are. Mm-hmm. And I know what I always hear also these questions. Yes, Simone, but how do you plan on bringing this out into the corporate world? I am still on a big learning curve, Noha.
Absolutely, all of us. All of us are.
And there is a bridge we have to create. And from what I've experienced so far, it is to relate also with science. And much has been, in the meantime, demonstrated by science, but not everything. I could tell you other stories, Noha. I don't think that one day science will ever be in a position to demonstrate this. And I'm not the only one. Many could do so. Nevertheless, at least 3 disciplines have demonstrated a lot. It is epigenetics, neuroscience. Neuroscience has already explained a lot about the power of our thoughts and the impact on our behavior and identity, and then quantum physics. And especially epigenetics. What we can achieve with energy healing can, in the meantime, be explained quite well with epigenetics. Epigenetics has demonstrated that what previous generations have experienced has a direct impact on current generations and the future ones. So with energy, you can have an impact and avoid that these possibly negative energies from previous generations act or have an influence on yourself. Mm-hmm. So a way of bridging is science. I cannot say that this is the best, but it seems as of today, in the way we have included the scientific evidence in our program comes through quite well. So the blend of ancient wisdom with science is very well received.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Simone, thank you so much. I think I could go on with this webinar maybe for many, many more hours. There is so much richness and depth in what you are sharing, and it's been a real pleasure to host you today. And I wanted to see if there are any questions from the audience at this stage. And otherwise, it would be our real pleasure as Women for Solutions to continue, our discussion with you and to explore this collective, the power of our collective action and collaboration as organizations who, are continuously trying to make a difference in the world and to create a more caring people and caring planet. So thank you so much, Simone. You are truly phenomenal, and I'm very honored that I had the opportunity, to hear your story and the story of Athena. And I wish you all the best. And I'd like to invite Laura as well, if she wanted to also add a few words for Women for Solutions.
Thank you. Yes, I think this has been really, Simone has been really a very, very interesting and very heartfelt, because everything you said is like music to my ears. Really, I think that and to music to like what we call the caring economy, because without that evolution towards more consciousness and release of our fear and women and men feel certain that actually what you're saying is the right thing, is the right path to move forward, is like the truth for us, our civilization, for maintaining nature. So thank you, Simone, and Noah, thank you for being an incredibly creative moderator, and for all the support you give to the board of Women for Solutions. And on that note, to close the call, I would like to mention that every week we have a webinar that what we are trying to see to improve and move forward our consciousness. Slowly but surely, when we hear, it touches our heart, and then in a moment we decide and move on and move forward. So our next webinars are in Spanish, are April the 27th. In English, April 27th, with Unlocking the Nomadic Mindset, Kevin Cotton. And it's an amazing webinar at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. The Nomadic Mindset is a leadership book that really will invite everybody to understand how important is our true essence. And then on April the 30th, we have Your Essence to Be a Woman, but it's in Spanish, by Elsie Sierralta. And again, she's going to work on the essence of what is a woman, and the woman that is empowered, the woman that is happy, that is smiling, that is full of good energy, because only that way we will move forward. With anger and with the resentment, we go nowhere. And then April the 28th, May the 28th, Authentic Me, also and this is also about, it's a workshop where we are moving towards our inner essence and try to find it. On that note, we'd like to close this call, and thank you again, Simone and Noah, for all your support. Thank you very much.